What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Saturday afternoon. Breaking news coming in the last couple of minutes or so. As you can see on the thumbnail, as you can see on the screen right now, David De Gea's exit from Manchester United has been confirmed. Now, obviously, I think a lot of people saw this coming, given the movements regarding Andre Onana over the last few days, given the real lack of noises regarding David De Gea signing a new contract. They said that talks were going to happen. We're going to get into the saga of it, but the breaking news story coming in the last few minutes or so is that David De Gea, after 12 years at Manchester United, is done. He has exited the club. His contract expired at the end of June. July 1st, he was a free agent, and he's not going to be signing a new Manchester United contract. He himself has spoken on social media in the last couple of minutes. Manchester United themselves have confirmed it in a statement from the club too. We're going to read it. Let us know your thoughts. As always, get in the live chat, smash a like on the like button, get your chats in. I feel like we're going to have a lot to talk about over the next hour or so regarding how this has happened, his career, his legacy, his achievements, the future for Manchester United, the goalkeeping position at the club now, the future, the past, all of it. We're going to get into it. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner as well. Let's get straight into it. Now, it must be said, I think it's important to give credit where credit is due. From what I saw, Fabrizio Romano was the first person to say that this was about to happen. When it did happen, of course, he said, quote, breaking, David De Gea leaves Manchester United. It is over. Very quickly after he tweeted that, David De Gea tweeted himself. He's been putting cryptic things on social media over the last couple of weeks or so, yawning emojis, juggling emojis. Now he's posted an official statement on his Twitter account. It reads, and I quote, "I just wanted to send this farewell message to all Manchester United supporters. I would like to express my unwavering gratitude and appreciation for the love from the last 12 years. We've achieved a lot since my dear Sir Alex Ferguson brought me to this club. I took incredible pride every time I pulled on this shirt. To lead the team, to represent this institution, the biggest club in the world, was an honour only bestowed upon a few lucky footballers. It's been an unforgettable and successful period since I came here. I didn't think from leaving Madrid as a young boy we would achieve what we did together. Now it's the right time to undertake a new challenge, to push myself again in new surroundings. Manchester will always be in my heart. Manchester has shaped me and will never leave me. We've seen it all," followed by a and a heart emoji, as well as some pictures from his time at Manchester United lifting the Premier League trophy when he signed, a picture of him with Sir Alex Ferguson, him celebrating, a picture of him with his family on the pitch as well. As I mentioned, Manchester United have also released a statement confirming the departure of David De Gea from the club. It's just not actually on the website. I'm going to have to read it off my phone here, but it's the same principle. They say that David De Gea has announced his departure from Manchester United, bringing an end to a 12-year stay during which he secured an array of trophies and personal accolades to cement his place as one of the greatest goalkeepers in the history of the club. Since joining from Atletico Madrid in 2011, David made 545 appearances for Manchester United with 190 clean sheets, both club records for a goalkeeper. He won the Premier League, FA Cup, UEFA Europa League, and 2 Carabao Cups. His personal honours include 2 Premier League Golden Glove Awards, a record 4 Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year Awards, voted by fans, and 4 Players Player of the Year Awards. Erik ten Hag, the Manchester United manager, has also commented on the departure of David De Gea, saying, quote, "It takes great quality and character to reach the level of even playing one game for Manchester United. To do it 545 times over 12 years is a special achievement, particularly in the goalkeeping position where every game puts you in the spotlight. To have won Player of the Year awards from both the fans and his teammates, each on 4 occasions, shows the level of his performance, and he will always be remembered as one of the very best goalkeepers in the history of the club. I am personally grateful for the 25 clean sheets he helped provide last season and his overall contribution on the pitch during my first year at the club. All the players and staff send him our very best wishes for the next phase of his outstanding career." Football director John Murtough has also released a statement as part of this announcing of the departure of David De Gea from Manchester United, saying, quote, "David leaves Manchester United with the deepest respect and warmest appreciation of everyone associated with the club. To have set new club records for goalkeeper appearances clearances and clean sheets, surpassing Alex Stepney and Peter Schmeichel respectively, shows just how great a player he has been for us. Just as important are his qualities as a person, and he will be missed by all of us who have had the privilege of working with him over the past 12 years. David will always be a part of the Manchester United family, and we look forward to welcoming him back to Old Trafford in the future as a legend of the club. So again, if you are just joining us, the breaking news coming in the last few minutes or so is that David De Gea is done at Manchester United. He has officially exited. He has released a statement, as well as Manchester United releasing a statement. Again, this is quite chaotic because everyone's now going crazy on social media, but logically it would be stated that this does open the door for this Andre Onana move to be completed as well. They did say yesterday and really today, in terms of the updates, that this was expected to be done next week, and with Onana being on the verge of signing for Manchester United, it means that David De Gea has seen the exit door. So let us know your thoughts in the live chat. A couple of super chats already. Let me get to them first. Here we go. There we go. Yank Mank is the latest member of the UV Members Club. Welcome to Yank Mank. Lil Yo-Yo says, any chance of calling Cam? I don't know where Cam is. I think Cam might be on holiday. I saw a picture of him on holiday, but I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. I'm sure he will appear somewhere. And GJE says, David De Gea is a club legend. Thank you for your service. Actually, what I want to do before I just check out social media again very quickly, I want to put a poll in the chat, and that is David De Gea a Manchester United legend? To me, my answer is yes. It's always been yes. I don't think you can be the record holder for clean sheets at Manchester United without being a club legend, in my opinion. I know people would disagree. Just want to check something as well, because I've seen people saying Chris Wheeler tweet. Yes, Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail is saying that Manchester United are set to sign Andre Onana next week after agreeing terms of Inter Milan, which, to be fair, we know. It was, that's why when United put that first bid in for Andre Onana, that's why at the time Flex and myself said on one of the morning shows, oh, we're getting Andre Onana then, because when Manchester United bid for players, and people can say, oh, it was a low bid, it means they're going to go back twice, 3 times, they're going to get it done. Inter Milan had said earlier this week, we want it done before we go back to pre-season training. That's on Thursday. So we're going to sign Andre Onana this week, or at the very least, an announcement is going to be made stating that we have signed him. And because of that, that means that David De Gea has exited. My thoughts on this, it's a strange one, because when the news comes out and the tweet comes up from David De Gea, it's jarring. You know, this is a player, as I mentioned, that's been at the club for 12 years, and you go, wow, it's really happening. At the same time, it's not surprising either, because when you do take a step back and look at things, you go, well, of course he's leaving at this point. Manchester United are actively pursuing 2 goalkeepers, so this is just the official statement. This is just the actual confirmation that indeed De Gea is exiting the club. So that's really, on that side of it, it's not totally surprising. I do think it's the right move for Manchester United. I've seen the lights, like, you know, Marcel and Cam had been saying to us all season, United can't progress with him and we're never going to win anything significant with him, blah, blah, blah. I still don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I feel now the timing's right. And that's kind of what I'd come to regarding David De Gea. If he were to have signed a new contract, he would have been around for 2-3 years. His contract's up. You've got a manager who's very much insistent on playing out from the back, having a more modern, technically proficient with the ball at his feet goalkeeper. That's what he wants. And again, it's all about timing in football, and this is the right time. It's the right time. I think Ten Hag, frankly, has probably compromised on his tactics last season. We saw at the beginning of the season he wanted the keeper to play out from the back, and that's not to say David De Gea is a bad goalkeeper as well. David De Gea, I still believe, is a good goalkeeper, and a goalkeeper that's in the conversation as one of the better goalkeepers in world football. And I know people can laugh and oh, and you don't know what you're talking about, but I still do think he's a good goalkeeper. He just can't do what this manager wants his goalkeepers to do, and that's fine. And again, because of that, you go, right, now's the right time, go in a different direction, which United clearly are. Not only recruiting Onana, they're recruiting a backup goalkeeper that's also technically proficient with the ball at his feet. Again, to me, it didn't make sense to keep De Gea around for longer, because it only furthers the issue and the conversation and the lightning rod that is David De Gea in this system with this manager. So I think it's the right call by Manchester United and the right call by Erik ten Hag. What I do have an issue with is, like with anything with Manchester United, is planning and strategy and taking a long time to make this decision. This decision has been announced on Saturday the 8th of July. When the decision was made by Erik ten Hag and Manchester United to pull that initial contract offer, which reportedly was around sort of March, early April, they decided that actually, you know what, David, that contract offer that we had made you for you to stick around, we're having reservations. We feel actually, you know what, you've been making a couple of mistakes, and seeing that who could be available for us, we think we need to go in a different direction. Had they pulled that, I'd have said, well, that's pretty ruthless and cutthroat, but you know what, cool, because you've then given yourself time to have De Gea play for the rest of the season, given him an appropriate send-off at the end of the season, play his last game for United, and just come to, again, a more natural conclusion, a better conclusion, and a conclusion more fitting for a player of his stature and tenure at the club. Instead, what we got was chaos. We got chaos involving David De Gea. We've got a contract being pulled and a new one being put down, kind of lowballing him a little bit more to say, oh, I know he's going to turn it down, but we're doing this kind of out of respect. De Gea going on social media, posting cryptically, whilst we're actively pursuing other goalkeeping targets, so the player himself, David De Gea, knows actually they're going in a different direction. All that kind of stuff. It was messy, and it could have been handled much, much better, and it should have been handled much better. I don't like to use Liverpool as an example, but you would look at how they handled some of their departures this summer, whether it be Firmino, whether it be James Milner, etc. Everyone knew they were leaving. At the end of the season, they got a send-off, they got a wave-off befitting of what they had achieved and done for the club. We could have, at the very least, have done that for David De Gea. We did not do that. I don't know if David De Gea is going to have a testimonial or come back or do something over the next few weeks. I doubt it, because the pre-season starts next week, so that, to me, feels very unlikely that David De Gea will get that. Maybe at some point, I don't know. So it does leave somewhat of a bitter taste in the mouth, but at the same time, as I mentioned, it still is the right decision for Manchester United. And I think the right move for David De Gea too. I think that, as I had said previously, if David De Gea had accepted this much reduced offer, I think you'd have had big questions about David De Gea. You'd have said, you're 31, 32. You, in terms of a goalkeeper, still have a long time left in your career. Do you really want to be sitting on the bench for Manchester United for the next 2-3 years when you could be playing elsewhere, making still good money, competing and attempting to win things? Because, you know, I think that would say a lot about his personality. So for all parties involved here, for United, for De Gea, this is a good thing. This is the right thing. And it's good that they go in their separate directions. I think just, again, myself personally, I just go, that could have been handled better. And I still don't subscribe to those people that have been incredibly disrespectful to a player that has given 12 years of his career to Manchester United and considerable service to Manchester United for over a decade by going, good, the guy's a cancer, he's never been good, he's always been rubbish, he's always let us down. I feel that's very revisionist history, and I feel that's very respectable. In that instance, I say, you know, a bit of class doesn't go amiss throughout life, and you should treat people how you would like to be treated yourself. And I know people say, oh no, Owen, we're just being cutthroat, we're just being ruthless. Manchester United have been ruthless in this case, and again, they've been right to. But that doesn't stop you as a fan from acting with just a little bit of class. You've got what you wanted. David De Gea has left. We're getting in a goalkeeper that's more proficient with his feet. Again, I think that's the right decision, the right call. But I can sit here and say thank you, David De Gea, for spending 12 years at Manchester United, breaking the record for clean sheets. And as they say, winning the Player of the Year, not only voted by the fans, but also by his teammates, several years over and over again, at a time that United weren't playing very well and were difficult to watch. He saved us a lot. And the two things don't have to be mutually exclusive. Not everything's black and white. You know, again, it can be the right time, and he has become somewhat outdated with how football is being played now, particularly by Manchester United. But you can still say thanks, and you can still say, I tell you what, you maybe in the last couple of years it didn't work out too well for him, or he did make mistakes last season. But to say that he's never done anything at Manchester United and he's never been good, and those people that are posting like hour-long mistakes, hour-long mistakes, see, look at that, they've been terrible, and some of them are howlers. Goalkeepers will make howlers. Andre Onana will make mistakes next season. And I don't want you to keep the same energy that you kept towards David De Gea to him, because I think you should support the players as much as you possibly can, but also be fair. I think that's the same thing too. What else have we got here? Let's see if we got any more super chats. Senior Pink says, my vacation to the Himalayas is cancelled. No more monk life. Welcome, Onana. It's been a member for 10 months. Appreciate 10 months of support. And Sting is the latest member of the UV Members Club as well. Remember, you can join the UV Members Club. Links in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat. Poll's been in the chat less than 10 minutes. And the question was, is David De Gea a Manchester United legend? And it's a landslide. It really is a landslide. I was expecting a little bit more pushback, honestly. 643 votes, and the 92% of you are saying, yes, David De Gea is a Manchester United legend. And even that, I do find somewhat surprising when people say that he's not, because I'm not saying that just because you're at a club for a long period of time that makes you a legend. I say what you achieve during that period of time makes you a legend. As I said, he's won everything bar the Champions League. He's broke the record for clean sheets. Not to say that just because he broke that record, he was better than those people, the records that he broke. For instance, they mentioned Stepney and Schmeichel there. Is he a better goalkeeper than Peter Schmeichel? No, not in my opinion. Peter Schmeichel did it in half the time. In that, he was in a more successful side, but I think he's a better goalkeeper. And also, since we are talking about goalkeepers, I do want to say thoughts are with Edwin van der Sar at the moment. Thoughts are with Van der Sar's family, his friends, his loved ones. Obviously, I think if you didn't see the news yesterday, he has been rushed to intensive care. He's got a cerebral hemorrhage while he was on holiday in Croatia. I think there was an update today from Ajax saying that he's still in intensive care. I believe he's in a stable condition, but it's a really, really serious situation regarding Edwin van der Sar. And I would be remiss if we were talking about goalkeepers and legendary goalkeepers of Manchester United and not mentioning him. I know it's a bit of a diversion from what we're talking about there, but I just want to make sure that I say that. I put a tweet out yesterday, and it's absolutely true. For someone my age, growing up as a goalkeeper, Edwin van der Sar was my hero. Legitimately my hero. I was too young to see Schmeichel at his pomp. And as I got older, that's when De Gea kind of just come in. So you don't really sort of idolize players at that point. So Edwin van der Sar was my era growing up. For me, again, I absolutely loved Edwin van der Sar. I think the only crime regarding Edwin van der Sar is that he came when he was like 35. The fact that he came in his mid-30s and achieved what he did at Manchester United and was so good even when he was 40, 41, that Sir Alex Ferguson was still pleading with him, don't retire yet, you've still got more to give. His last game was a Champions League final at Wembley. He was just that good. So again, thoughts are with him, thoughts are with his family. Get well soon, Edwin. I know the entire, well, not even just the United fan base, the footballing fandom around the world is behind you, and I'm sure he will beat it, he will kick out, and he'll get well soon. So shout out to Edwin van der Sar as well. Let's see what some of you guys are saying in the chat too. Well, I think we've got a super chat here from Dave. Let's get that one up on the screen too. Saying he's the last player at United that has a Premier League winner's medal and deserved a better send-off. I think he did deserve, again, a better send-off. I know some people are saying, well, that's just being ruthless. I don't see that as being ruthless. You can be ruthless and still have class. And I know people point to, wow, look at Casillas at Real Madrid and look at even what happened with Messi at Barcelona. Like, that's an example that we want to be. We don't want to be that. We want to be, in terms of our our pride and how we treat people, we can be ruthless, but we can still have class too. And that is something that United have kind of been missing recently too, is, again, not being ruthless, but also having that element of class in terms of how we've had these big legendary figures exit the club. I mean, it's not just David De Gea, is it? It is people like Rio Ferdinand, Patrice Evra. The list can go on. Even Nemanja Vidic was like halfway through the season. He got a bit of a send-off, I suppose. But the point being is we haven't handled those appropriately. And David De Gea, once that contract offer was pulled in March, it should have been, sorry, David, we've had a change of heart. we're going in a different direction. Let's make an announcement. You've got time to plan. We've got time to plan, and we can do this the right way. And that didn't happen. And again, that's unfortunate. But that's not to say, because I know people can misconstrue things, easy for me to say, that this isn't the right call, because it is the right call. It is the right decision, and it is the right time. And I do think that Andre Onana coming in will absolutely benefit Manchester United in terms of how they want to play, in terms of how Erik ten Hag wants us to play too, and playing out from the back, having that almost numerical advantage because the goalkeeper becomes an outfield player once you're in possession, being able to beat a press, being able to be more press resistant, being able to start attacks differently, being able to withstand pressure and keep hold of the ball. You did see it in the FA Cup final, didn't you? That, when De Gea was going long against a team like Man City, you don't want to be constantly giving them the ball, because you're constantly then under pressure. And you need to have sometimes bravery, and you need to have just, again, that composure and that level of calmness that David De Gea clearly doesn't have. That's not part of his makeup. I do think he attempted to improve it this season, but at the age of 30, 31, 32, there's only so much you're going to be able to improve in terms of your distribution if it's not there. And I think it was almost, sometimes it was almost psychological, isn't it? Sometimes you can't teach bravery, or you can't teach that, innate composure that some other players have. And David De Gea didn't have that. Again, not to say that makes him a bad goalkeeper, because it doesn't. But it doesn't make him the right person for Manchester United right now. And that's why we're at the situation that we're at. And that's why Andre Onana seemingly is going to be confirmed as a United player very, very soon. Within the next, they would think, few days. And it will be announced, they think, next week. And the hope is that he'll be on tour as well. Let's see what some of you guys are saying as well in the free seats too. Because I don't want to just have super chats here. Love says, is there any chance of a testimonial on the first game? I know it's backwards, but come on, the guy deserves one last hurrah. I don't know. I mean, again, I know that Erik ten Hag is a stickler for details and a stickler for preparation. We've had more games be added to this pre-season. Not even the tour, but those games sort of that aren't in the United States. More games be added because he wants more time to prepare. Sometimes, you never know, sometimes you can have testimonials technically at any point of the season, but I just looking at the current sort of calendar, I'm not sure again how that would particularly work. I don't know if you were having a friendly at Old Trafford, do you invite him there? But by that point he'd have a different team. I'm not sure how that would be facilitated. I mean, it's not impossible again, but I'm not sure honestly how that would work. Lux Hill says, right call, but hopelessly poor execution, which again, that's my feeling on it. And I know that people can say, oh, that's sitting on the fence, but I don't see that as sitting on the fence. Again, I don't think they're too mutually exclusive as well. Lil Yo-Yo, one of our members and mod, says, shame, but he's my legend. But De Gea leaves. Zotan with the super chat says, David De Gea is still young enough to go to another top European team and finish his career strong. Why not go to Inter on a free, as they will need a goalkeeper? Well, I know people will say wages and stuff like that. Obviously, he's not going to be on the contract he was at Manchester United. Anywhere he goes, unless he goes to Saudi Arabia, will be less than the contract that he was on. He was on 375k a week. And again, I think the only place he'd be able to go to get anywhere near that would be Saudi Arabia. That's a possibility. He may want to stick around in Europe, and if he does, it will be on significantly less contract, or less money than he was on. But he might say, well, I was going to accept reduced wages at United the first time, but I think even that contract offer on the reduced terms, I don't think he'll get that anywhere as well. So his next move is going to be really interesting to see where he does go, whether he sticks around in European football, or if he does decide to join the Saudi Pro League, which lots of footballers are. And it'll be interesting now that has been confirmed, which agents and which teams surround him too. What else have we got in here as well? John James says, people quick to highlight mistakes but never highlight good things players do. This spoiled entitled mentality is beyond toxic, I think, probably as well. What else have we got here? Suleiman says, the way we handle long-time servants of the club is disgraceful. We need to change. I'm trying to find Liam says people like Keane got a testimonial a good while after he left. That's what I was thinking as well, because he was still playing for Celtic at the time, wasn't he? So again, it's not totally impossible as well. Yes, and again, I think, and this is what is strange with David De Gea too. And I mentioned this a few weeks ago, that it's almost become, you remember when Ronaldo left at the end of last year, and he had become such a lightning rod, and I know he is a lightning rod anyway, but I mean in terms of splitting the fan base, and you just couldn't talk about him. It got to the point where I remember even here on the channel, you brought up Ronaldo's name and there'd be the staunch people, he is finished, he is washed, he is holding this down, he is toxic, blah, blah, blah. And then you get people right on the other side of it. How dare you disrespect him? He's the GOAT, he's this, he's that. You don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. And this is what it become with David De Gea as well. You've got two sides of things, of people that will only highlight the mistakes as if that's all he's ever done at Manchester United. See, look at all of these mistakes I can point out that he did. And then you've got people on the other side that would be, yeah, but look at all the good things he's done as well. Look at all of these saves. I can do all these, and the saves outweigh the mistakes. And it just became so divisive. That's why I said I never felt there was any possibility of him sticking around and us signing an Andre Onana and having a situation where Ten Hag would be like, see, we've got De Gea on the bench and Onana in goal, because the questions would always be there, the scrutiny would always be there, the media pressure would always be there. And I think, what's the phrase, you can't be half pregnant. Sometimes you are or you're not. And I think that's what they needed to do with this David De Gea situation. As I kept saying over and over and over again, pick a direction and pick a decision and go with it. And they've picked the decision to go with a different goalkeeper, go with a different style of keeper, and really back the manager. I think also this can be seen as another real strong endorsement of Erik Ten Hag from the Manchester United hierarchy. This is the powers that be, in your John Murtos and your Richard Arnolds, and even, I guess, the Glazers. Not that they give two shits about anything that's going on right now, apart from how can we get more money out of these potential bidders. But it's a real, backing from them, because it's a case of the manager wants a different goalkeeper. The manager wants to go in a different direction. The manager wants us to play a certain style, and we are backing the manager. We are saying, okay, you don't want the current goalkeeper to be here. We're going to pull that contract offer, because by all accounts, it was Erik Ten Hag that made the decision. Nope, let's pull that contract offer. We need to go in a different direction. And they're getting a goalkeeper that Ten Hag knows very well and has worked with in the past and knows his qualities. And again, to me, I see that as total support for the Manchester United manager in terms of his ideals and in terms of how he wants to play. Now, you could argue he hasn't been totally supported, Owen, because he's handcuffed by what's going on with the takeover situation. That's true. But I do see this move as De Gea leaving, a player that's been here for a long time, and making the decision to go in another direction as support for Erik Ten Hag. But as I said, I think that's the right move too. I think it's the right move for De Gea. I think it's the right move for United, and I think it's the right call by Ten Hag as well, to bring in players that he knows their qualities and what they're capable of. After a year of working with De Gea, he absolutely knows what he's capable of, and working with Onana for several years too, he knows exactly what he's capable of too. So I think it's going to be fascinating to see Manchester United play that style, isn't it? It's going to be fascinating to see Manchester United playing out from the back, playing that freely from the back, because I think even us as fans, we're going to have to kind of, mentally adjust to, because you can't argue with De Gea, particularly really all the way through the season. But at different points he was playing well. I recall De Gea around sort of coming out of the World Cup was very good. January, February, De Gea played very well, and then. But at points of the season, you could feel it. When De Gea would get the ball at his feet, and if you're either in the stadium or you're watching at home, every, I think, United fan, and even the players on the pitch kind of went, sort of that just feeling of what's going to happen? What's he going to do? He looks uncomfortable. Does he know what he's going to do? Is he anxious? Is he worried? And us as fans, that's going to be an adjustment going from him to Andre Onana, because if you've watched some of Onana's highlights, he'll put his foot on the ball and he'll wait. And a striker will be like that far away from him, and he will then pass the ball, try and play it around him. And I think initially we're going to be like, oof. You know, all that kind of stuff. We're going to have to adjust ourselves. But I do think we'll see a big difference in terms of how United play as well, in terms of our build-up play. And I do agree with what Cameron Marcel had said in the past, in that you'll be surprised, I think, in how differently we play as a result of having Andre Onana in goal instead of David De Gea. And again, that's not to say it's going to be better or worse, but it will be different. And I think our build-up play will be considerably different as well. And it's going to be interesting because some of the other players around him are going to have to adjust too. People like Lisandro Martinez won't have a problem at all with it. He'll be fizzed in ball under pressure. He was with David De Gea, and like against Real Betis at Old Trafford, he'll get the ball spin out of it, pass it out wide, no problem. Some of the other players might not be used to receiving the ball in that position. People like, say, Wan-Bissaka, or maybe even people like Varane, you know, will be like, you're going to get some passes that you don't expect or under pressure. Or some of those fullbacks, if you're, you know, Luke Shaw or Malacia or Dallo and Wan-Bissaka, it might be a bit like, hey, you're inverted under the Ten Hag system, but you're going to have to try and find some space, because if you get space, he'll pick you out. Or the people in midfield, that's part of maybe why he's brought in Mason Mount too, is because Mason Mount, if he's playing in the middle of the park, is going to receive a fizzed ball from Andre Onana with people surrounding him, and the expectation is either you flick it on and get it to another teammate, or you take a touch and you find a way to wriggle out of that space, because we're not going long anymore. We're not going with those long balls unless we absolutely have to. So again, I think that's going to be absolutely fascinating to see how Manchester United adjust. And it's also really critical, and this is also why it's important to get Onana done before the tour, is because there needs to be this period of time. The goalkeeping position is such a specialty position, and it's not just about, you know, their qualities in terms of being a footballer. It's also about their personality and how they command their defense and how they interact with players too. That's going to take a while to bed in. That's going to take some time to adjust to from the player's perspective. And also as well, it's going to take some time for Onana to adjust to be like, okay, which players make these runs? Which positions are they going to be finding themselves in? Am I going to have to say to these players, you know, actually, I know before you wouldn't have made this run, make it and I'll pick you out. Or, you know, go wide or come close, all that kind of stuff. You need time to bed that in, and that's why it's critical that the Onana deal does get done over the next few days, because then we've got this pre-season tour to really bed Onana in and really bed in this next step, really, of the Erik ten Hag philosophy, which is, again, more ball playing, more playing out from the back, less going long, more playing under pressure, playing when we're being pressed. It's almost like that's what Ten Hag wanted to do when he came in last season. Very quickly he realised, I can't do that. Not just because of David De Gea, but because of a variety of other factors and players that were available to him. So he had to compromise. And he compromised for an entire season, and it was successful in terms of winning a trophy, getting to a final and finishing third in the Premier League. It was successful. But coming into a second season, he's like, right, no, I really want to get my philosophy. I really want to get my play style onto this team now. And that includes, you know, getting people like Ronaldo to leave, De Gea to go, bringing in Onana, hopefully bringing in a striker, whether that's Højlund, even though, I mean, that's a long-term option, but bringing in more midfielders, whether it was Casemiro, Eriksen, now Mason Mount, bringing in Lisandro Martinez too. All of these sort of key things are pieces in the puzzle that Ten Hag's trying to put together. And in his mind, and in the mind of several others, and to be fair, in my own mind, it's progress, I think, as well. What else have we got here in the chat? A couple of super chats here too. There you go. Dave says, I said that one, didn't I? Ethan says, wish Dave all the best. The club handled his departure like a bunch of circus clowns with the juggling. Absolutely shambolic. Zotang TV says, David De Gea is still young enough to go to a top European team, finish his career strong. Why not? I've read that one. I think I got mixed up, didn't I? Well, Red Baron says, hope Edwin van der Sar has his speedy recovery. Absolutely. Mentioned that earlier. Shout out to, and thoughts really go out to Edwin van der Sar, his family, his friends, his loved ones, as he's currently in intensive care. And it just goes to show, doesn't it? You know, you never genuinely know what is around the corner. And I know it's so cliche to say those things when bad things happen, but it's true. You genuinely never know. So whether it's, you know, reminding people how much you care about them, or being nice, or not holding grudges as best as you can. And I speak for myself there because I'm terrible for it. You never know what can happen. You never know. So thoughts go out to him and his family. And I really, really, really hope he makes a full recovery and gets back to doing whatever he's going to do next. Of course, he had just left Ajax. Really, really horrible news yesterday. Scars says, when Onana flops, then what? Goalkeepers are hard to replace. Well, I think, as with anything, when it comes to goalkeepers too, if Onana comes in and makes mistakes or struggles to adapt, then you have to just keep going with him. It was the same with David De Gea. When De Gea came in, people forget he really struggled. Really struggled to the point that his future was uncertain for a while. He had Lindegaard at the club at the time, and he came in for a while, and De Gea, his first few games for United was just, that first season was a massive problem for him. His first game for United at the Community Shield at Wembley against Man City, he made a mistake, and I think the next game after that was West Brom away, and he made mistakes. He was making mistakes, and goalkeepers will make mistakes. I think that as fans, we can't go in hoping that Onana's going to flop. I don't think that kind of adjustment will be as bad. I do think he'll make mistakes. I do think there'll be more moments where he's caught out in terms of passes and maybe claiming crosses and stuff like that, but it will happen. And I just really don't want the discourse. I know it'll be there next season of when he does make a mistake. Well, De Gea wouldn't have made that mistake. It's over. We've gone in a different direction. That's it. Sometimes goalkeepers aren't a sure thing. Sometimes they are. You look at Edison, you look at Alisson, their adjustment was seamless. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but that's what happens with any signing you make. Any signing you make, goalkeepers is just heightened because there's very few of them in terms of top quality ones. We can't go into the future now of being every single time something happens with Onana going, De Gea wouldn't have done that, or De Gea would have done that. There will be goals we can see next season that David De Gea would have saved. But there will also be passes that Onana makes that David De Gea wouldn't have been able to make. It's like with any player. They've got their positives, they've got their negatives. It's a decision the manager's made, it's a decision the club's made. You go in that direction. What else we got here? Red Baron says it's like Brexit, I guess referring to how divisive it is. Amanor says, Owen, will Maguire be happy now that David De Gea has left? I don't know. I don't know. Some people would say Harry Maguire should be next. I really don't know if Harry Maguire is going to leave this summer or not. I think that it's been really, really quiet with him. As I've said before, I think Gareth Southgate or someone, his advisors, whoever it may be, needs to go to Harry Maguire and explain to him, look, you are in a lot of danger here. You are in a lot of danger of missing out on the European Championships next summer, because everyone knows at the club, as fans, whatever, Harry Maguire is not going to play games this coming season. He might play a couple, some cup games, some sub appearances, but Harry Maguire is not a starting centre-back at Manchester United anymore. His days of being a starting centre-back at Manchester United are well and truly numbered. They were numbered a long time ago. And catastrophic injury, he is not going to cement that place down. So he must know that. He must. And for him to stay, you could say, he's trying to fight and he's trying to prove his worth. No, I see him staying, honestly, at United as a lack of ambition. I look at it the same way as if David De Gea had signed a new contract. I'd be looking at him going, do you not want to do anything? Do you not want to play every single week? And for De Gea, it's almost less so, because De Gea's international career is effectively over. Not that he retired, but he's not getting picked anymore. Harry Maguire is still getting picked. That's the only football he's playing is international football at the moment. So you would think someone would say to him, you've really got to go for the sake of your career, because the upcoming Euros, that might be the last international major tournament you play in. Come the World Cup in a couple of years' time, someone might have come along. You're a few years older. Suddenly you're not the shiny penny anymore. So you've really got to assess your options. And if a club does come in, your wage demands have got to come down, because no one's going to pay what you're currently on at Manchester United at the moment. So I think he should go, but I don't know if he will, because he's got nothing to prove. Fingers are in the ears. If he's happy that David De Gea's left, he'll be terrified of Andre Onana. You kidding me? David De Gea at the very least would just go long every single time. Andre Onana is going to be fizzing the ball into him in positions that it's expected that he turns out of. Look at that mistake against Sevilla away from home. That was a combination of both Maguire and David De Gea's fault. Andre Onana will do that to him and put those passes into positions he expects any capable and competent defender in 2023 to be able to get out of. And Harry Maguire cannot do that. So I don't think he would be rejoicing that David De Gea has left, because I think it's almost even further says the writing's on the wall for him. As I mentioned, these players that were deemed at one point untouchable and would never leave, problem players in the minds of some, are leaving. And Harry Maguire absolutely falls into that category. So I don't know if he'll leave, but I think he should. And I'm not really breaking any new ground there, I know. M. Sati says, we support our players, De Gea, Onana. De Gea is a Manchester United legend indeed. Onana will make mistakes and big ones. Many United fans are naive and very reactive. That's the problem too with if you just watch those compilations, because anyone can put clips together. Anyone can highlight certain things on social media. As I've said with De Gea too, there is such a big sample size that everyone's had, because United fans have watched him play week in and week out for 12 years. So we know exactly what David De Gea is truly capable of. Some people, the only times they would have seen Onana play is the recent Champions League final and then the compilations and clips that they see on social media. And that would look very, very good. But he has made mistakes, because goalkeepers make them. And particularly goalkeepers of this style, they'll make them. The important thing is to understand that they make them, and understand, as I mentioned, that there are positives and negatives. He might not make the saves that De Gea saves, even though the statistics say he had a better save percentage last season. That is factual too. But there might be goals that go in that we go, oh, I think De Gea might have done a bit better, but there'll be passes that Onana makes that never in a million years David De Gea would have made. And I think also it's a cultural thing too. There's the reports that were going after that the Japanese second goalkeeper as well. I've seen some clips. Again, it's just that, clips of him making good passes. And I think there is a want, certainly, in the same vein of how you look at Man City. They had their backup goalkeeper playing against us in the FA Cup final. Was still very, very, very proficient with his feet. And I think that's what Erik ten Hag is really looking for. He's looking for somewhat of a cultural reset at Manchester United in terms of how we play. And you look at all the signings we've made, the key ones, not really the stopgap ones like your Weghorsts and your Sabitzers and your Dubravkas and Butlins. But he's looking for a cultural reset in terms of the profile of player and the skill set of player that Manchester United recruits now. And you've seen that with people like Martinez, people like Casemiro, Eriksen, Antony, now Onana, even Mason Mount. They're looking for these sort of technically efficient players that, again, can handle the ball under pressure and aren't looking to constantly go long and are somewhat press resistant. That's what I think what Ten Hag is looking for, certainly. Jerome says, whatever we think about David De Gea now, he is a legend. Was with us in our worst times and never once complained. My keeper. I also think as well, people like to talk about, the fax machine, and he tried to leave us and all that kind of stuff. As I've pointed out several times, many a Manchester United legends has tried to leave the football club during their time, whether it was like sort of Wayne Rooney, whether it's people like, obviously, if you consider David Beckham a Manchester United legend, he left. If you consider Ruud van Nistelrooy a Manchester United legend, he left. Roy Keane, several times in the 90s when his contract was up, there were reports that people like Inter Milan or clubs in Italy, clubs in Spain were interested in him and he was fielding offers. Plenty a quality United player has left, or at least attempted to try and leave and has stuck around, or whatever. That shouldn't define David De Gea's tenure and career at Manchester United, or his status. What should is what he achieved and his tenure, in my opinion. Again, I know that that's not what everyone agrees on. Freezer Burnt Peas says, unrelated, my greatest fear is that the new owners will come in like Todd and sack Erik ten Hag. I'd keep the Glazers on board, then lose him. I wish I had my soundboard. Freezer Burnt Peas. You'd keep the Glazers on board. No, I can't. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but that's, oh my God. Red Baron says, KG based his whole scouting network on compilations. Dangerous road to go down. Again, that's I know that's what people do. I do that. When there's a player we haven't seen that much, we look at the compilations. And I think that's also partially why sometimes when we sign players from Premier League clubs, because we do see them every week, we're so much more reserved on them, and we kind of roll our eyes a little bit on them because we go, they're not good. This player from Serie A that I've seen maybe once or twice on compilations is much better. Again, it's sample sizes, isn't it? I would, be hesitant. Well, I wouldn't be hesitant to say that if we had seen, for instance, let's say hypothetically we're trying to sign, I don't know, a midfielder from La Liga, and we saw the same amount of games that they played as Mason Mount had played in the Premier League, we'd probably have similar reservations. It's about sample sizes, and it's about people only seeing the positives and not the entire picture. I think we have to be sort of careful with that sometimes, and not to have blind faith or blind trust, but also go, you know what, actually, in terms of Erik ten Hag's hit rate, in terms of his signings, his summer signings, he's done all right so far, and he was successful last season. And I think also we have to remember, not that you can be naive and say that, you know, what happened last season is going to play out exactly again, because clubs underperformed last season. Liverpool underperformed. Chelsea underperformed. It's an argument Spurs, in terms of recent history, underperformed because they've been in the Champions League more often than not. They're not even in Europe this time around. So other clubs will get better. But also, you would say United, we had a terrible away record last season that really hurt us in the league. But we weren't, in terms of some of the other big teams, we weren't a million miles off in certain games. Yeah, obviously, our away record was terrible. Yeah, obviously, we got pumped 7 at Anfield and 6-3 at the Etihad, but we also beat those teams at home. So we can beat any team, really, on our day. And getting a new goalkeeper in, clearly that was a problem position for us in terms of what Erik ten Hag wanted to do. That's ticked off. Again, for me, the midfielder was a third priority, but there's more quality and depth there with Mason Mount. We need a striker. Desperately, we need a striker. The biggest thing that held us back last season was scoring goals. Had we had someone that was scoring 20-plus goals, we'd have been in a decent conversation, not to win the league, but certainly, you know, those games away from home in particular that we struggled with, we'd have won a couple of those. So I think that there should be somewhat of an optimism surrounding United in terms of, if we do get that striker in and maybe another midfielder, that our team's all right. It's really difficult, I know, to be optimistic, considering the situation the club's in at the moment. The takeover thing just kind of drains any semblance of optimism out of you. But in terms of some of the players we have and the manager we have, again, I do think, you know, you don't have to be totally negative. And I'm talking to myself there as well. I think that if we had a transfer window, put it this way, of Onana, Mount, let's say Amrabat and Højlund, it's not perfect. It's not a 10 out of 10 window, but we're better off. We're a better team. We've got a better squad because of that. Granted, other teams are improving too, but I've got a lot of faith in this manager. And I know that could change. You know, you never know. But it's not lip service. So I think that, again, I think from a footballing side of things, if we had more money and more money to spend and owners that invested, we could be so much better off. But I do think there's room for some cautious optimism. Again, it's difficult with the takeover situation too. Shane Starr says, "Hey Owen, do you think Ten Hag will take Maguire's captaincy away if he stays?" It's a really good question, Shane. I don't know. I really don't know what he would do with that. My sort of prediction with that is I don't think he'd want to upset the apple cart with it, a bit like he did last season. You can be the club captain. Everyone knows who's the real captain of Manchester United is at this point. The real captain of Man United is Bruno Fernandes. He captained the side for the majority of last year. When bad things happen, he tends to be the one that does the interviews as well. So I don't know. Again, I really don't know. I did just see something on Twitter actually. Let me just double check this too. Here we go. Bruno Fernandes has said, quote, "You deserve to say goodbye at the stadium with the fans all cheering you," Bruno Fernandes said. This comes from Laurie Whitwell. "Exits can't be all stage managed, but after 12 years at the club, most of them overwhelmingly positive as a player, David De Gea merited a proper farewell." And again, that's my biggest issue with all of this, is that I just feel like this has been handled. You've got to, it's like doing an exam question, and you have to show you're working. All of your workings are wrong, but you've got the right answer. So you get the mark. You get the mark, but you don't get full marks because your working's completely wrong. Somehow you managed to get to the right answer. And you go, and that's kind of what it's like with De Gea at the moment. Right decision. It's the right call for De Gea to go, but the way we got there was so unneeded and could have been handled way, way better, and in my opinion is wrong. And again, that's not, "Oh, and you're too sentimental." No, that's just, we should be operating better. We should be planning better. We should be treating people better. And don't use people like Barcelona and Real Madrid as shining examples, saying, well, they don't. We don't want to be them in terms of that. Yeah, we want to have maybe the success that they do, but we don't want to be like them. We've never been like them in terms of that. We give people proper send-offs and we treat people the way they should be treated. And people that have given time of their career to the club, and people will then go, yeah, for money. Well, footballers make money. Tough shit. Okay, that's how it works. Blame the club, not the player for signing contracts, because if 375k was put in front of any single one of us, we'd all say yes and sign off on it. So I find that as a really dumb argument, honestly. Again, we are better than that. As Manchester United, we are better than that. Even that's, I guess, a bit of a false statement, because in recent history, we're not better than that. Maybe that's me hoping Manchester United can do things that they can't do anymore, or certainly under this current ownership. I don't know. But I do see other clubs doing it, our rivals doing it, and that kind of makes me a bit sick, to be honest. So, again, I feel like that could have been handled just so much better. I mean, it doesn't even... how people can't see that, I don't understand that. I really don't. Regarding a bit of an update for Andre Onana too, Romano has tweeted a couple of times with De Gea's exit and about Onana coming in. He said, quote, after De Gea's farewell message, it's all set for Manchester United to final bid to sign Andre Onana. The deal is really close, as reported yesterday, just waiting for formal bid to be sent in the next days. All parties expect to be 100% done next week. 100%. He's also then tweeted again, next steps for Andre Onana deal, new direct contacts between Inter and Man United over the weekend. Official final bid next week to be accepted. Clubs hope to have documents ready by around Wednesday/Thursday. Onana already agreed terms with Manchester United. So I would think, honestly, in terms of a Romano, here we go, if that's what you go by, I would think you probably get that maybe Monday, something like that. Basically, when this new bid goes in and Inter accepts, it's done, because the deal is already done with Andre Onana at this point, and the deal will get done anyway, because they're talking about a difference of 5 million euros, about 2.5 million quid. It really is nothing. De Gea's left. United are comfortable De Gea's left because they're getting a new goalkeeper, and they know that. So there you go. Abahit, who always says that I'm the big De Gea defender, rah, 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 says Owen is literally in mourning settings about De Gea, lol. Again, I just don't understand sometimes, comprehension by some people, because I can sit here and say, we've made the right decision, De Gea should go. I'd say he should go, but we should have treated it better, and I'm in mourning. And I'm a De Gea defender. I'm not so much of a De Gea defender, more of a people defender. I would love for people to be treated how I would expect to be treated. If I treat people like shit, I deserve to get treated like shit, And again, that just call me old-fashioned, call me crazy, treating people with respect. I don't understand. I don't get it. I just don't. I don't understand. Lil Yo says, any chance to call Marcel to get his take? I can try, although to be honest with you, Marcel can be a very difficult person to pick up on the phone. He's one of the things with Marcel, one, he lives outside of time, so he's never on time, and two, he is notoriously bad at, he's at almost KG levels of messaging or picking up the phone. I'll try though. Legend 11 says, David De Gea was a legend purely on how many times he saved us, honestly. If he had played in the treble team or the 07-08 team, he would have been a god. The fact is, he is rated legend without cups speak volumes. Wait, even he did win cups, to be honest, as well. Let me just see if anything else. Oh, Jaden here says, good luck and goodbye to De Gea. A legend indeed. Off topic, I've just seen a pic of Rashford and Van Dijk for his birthday. I'm sorry, I feel that's a disgrace. Football has gotten too soft thoughts. I don't really care. People can have friends outside football. I think, to be honest, I know, that's like saying that I can't be friends with a Liverpool fan. I mean, it is just football at the end of the day, I hate to break the news, but people, for instance, because they both live in Manchester, there will be people that are friends with Man City players, or there'll be people that are friends with Liverpool players because they're in the same general region. I'm all for, on the day of the game or in the week building up to the game, not talking to them or not not swapping shirts or not in the tunnel or anything like that, but they can celebrate their birthday together because they're people at the end of the day. And also, this is the funny thing with that too, is they definitely used to do that back in the day, but you just never used to see that because social media wasn't a thing as well. I've got friends who support Liverpool and Arsenal. I don't have any friends in Man City. because they just weren't. But I have friends who support all kind of clubs. I mean, I think as fans we need to kind of get away from that too. You know, it's one thing to, like, if we saw, for instance, after we played Liverpool and lost 7-0, if we saw Marcus Rashford then in a nightclub with a Liverpool player, you'd be a bit like, oh, I don't really look a bit great. But also at the same time, again, it's life, you know. It's life. Some people said try and call Marcel. Let me try that again. I cannot say that Marcel would actually pick up, because again, you never know with him. Let me see if I can call him. Here we go. Marcel. He's not much of a phone talker. It's riveting stuff, folks. I told you, this is what he's like.
Welcome to the EE.
See? I told you, he is like that. And the craziest thing is with Marcel, yeah? And get the Marcels in the chat, get the Marcel emojis in the chat. Now, he'll call me in maybe like 3 or 4 days and say, oh, what did you want to talk about? I'll be like, what? Oh, Marcel's ages ago. Oh, wow, you know, I live outside of time, Owen. You do not understand. This is my thesis. This is my philosophy. 100%. 100%. And he's got like 2 phones or something like that. It's crazy. I mean, I'm not one for really answering my phone unless I know the caller. Then I'll pick up. Sometimes I won't pick up and I'll just send a message back. But yeah, that's Marcel for you. So as soon as you said try and call Marcel, no chance. No chance whatsoever. That is what Marcel is like, honestly. How many likes have we got here as we nearly wrap things up? We've got nearly 1,400 people watching, still less than 500 likes. So if you haven't already, click the like button. This is why I would really, it's annoying that the subscriber thing's broken. So as you can see, top right hand corner, the subscriber count is actually broken. Not that because all of our subscribers have gone away, but the way that it works is that it's kind of like pulled from YouTube, and that doesn't work on YouTube at the moment. So I do want to say, and I should have said this earlier, but since we have nearly 1,400 people watching, we are currently on 143,974. We are literally 26 subscribers away from 144,000. Now, I know recently I've been saying, like, when we were like 250 away, we can do that in a stream, but we can get 26 new subscribers in the next sort of 5 minutes or so. At 1,000,000%, we can do that in the next couple of minutes. So if you haven't already, subscribe. We're gonna hit 144,000, and we can all celebrate. That would be tremendous. So yeah, if you haven't already, subscribe. Bottom right hand corner. As I mentioned, usually it's a lot more fun because it like goes whoosh, 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 but we can't see that. So if you haven't already, because statistically, how YouTube usually works, and I'm like this as well, because I'm terrible for it. I have channels that I'll watch near enough every day, or at least multiple times a week, and for whatever reason you're not subscribed, because the way it kind of works too is that if you watch enough videos, they just end up getting recommended to you. So it's kind of like, oh, it doesn't really matter. But again, if you haven't, subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and let's see if we can get there before the stream ends. Then because I think I was one of my streams, I think when it was 143,000, I took all the credit, absolutely took all the credit for it, and I'll do that again this time as well. Let's see what else you guys are saying in the chat. Tall Boss says, I want to hear what Marcel and Cam have to say about Onana if he starts to make a mistake in goal. I would think probably they would say, and I can't really speak for them, but my assumption would be is that keepers will make mistakes. I think I think also it's going to be interesting to hear if they kind of change their arguments a little bit. You know, because as KG kind of said, if they start having conversations saying that, you know, goalkeepers should be saving shots or whatever, you go, not really what you were saying. Not really what you were saying before. So there you go. What else are people saying in the chat too? Tavislow says you go to the next topic. There isn't a next topic. That's just sometimes when there's one topic, those little stories are just kind of a summary as to what thing is, you know. So for instance, De Gea left United. There was a social media post. He's leaving as a free agent. The Onana deal is close. And De Gea's legacy. What is De Gea's legacy as well, actually? Let me know what you think his legacy is. I mean, the poll, as I mentioned, has been in the chat for nearly the entirety of the stream. Close to 2,000 votes, which, by the way, 2,000 votes, less than 500 likes. I mean, I know that it comes up when you come on the stream, so all that kind of stuff. But still, if you haven't already, click the like button and be sure to subscribe, as I mentioned, see if we can hit that 144K. But according to the poll, as I mentioned, 91% of you, a landslide, 91% of you saying that David De Gea is a Manchester United legend. And I think that is his legacy. And I think that one thing I don't want, to be fair though, and this is the thing, is you'll see people now that have said terrible things about David De Gea over the last like 6 months to a year. If they in like a year's time or 2 years' time change their tune and be like, yeah, no, actually, De Gea is a legend, you go, whoa. You weren't saying that at the time. You were actively, I mean, some of the things that people have said about him, for me, is beyond disrespectful, honestly. And I find that it's a real lack of class, honestly. A real lack of class, but there you go. Anyway, guys, look, I'm going to wrap it up there. Appreciate you joining me on this Saturday afternoon. Of course, if there's any more news or updates, we'll be here on the channel going live, or a video will be uploaded. That's why it's important to hit subscribe and click the notification bell, because sometimes like today, we can go live at a drop of a hat, or we can upload a video. Sometimes it doesn't require a full hour. This time it did. It was quite a big story, and quite a lot going on too. So sometimes it's good to be live for like an hour or so as all the information comes in and then starts to sort of slow down. But sometimes it just takes an 8-minute video. So we've been doing a bit of those while giving you a bit of transfer news updates. So there might be more of them to come. So again, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and click that notification bell. But as I mentioned, stay tuned, because there's plenty more coming, and particularly with Onana, it's just around the corner. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. I'm out of here. Peace.